Wim, it's interesting because, through all the other work that I've studied of other people, they talk a lot about breath being the life force that we need to connect with our consciousness. And I know that you believe the same thing. Why do you think it is that breath that we take for granted that is so unbelievably important?
If we think, we don't need to do much. We just think. But if you run, if you live in nature, you exercise your body, and the body is connected to the deeper parts of the brain. So if you think, then automatically you don't need as much of oxygen. What happens is that you limitedly take in the breathing, because it's okay to think, I'm okay. But when then dangerous things happen, suddenly we don't know what to do. We are complete stress and we have no control. And now for those moments in which we are not schooled in our society, learn that the life force, the breath, it needs to go deeply into our system, in all our trillions of cells. Not only that is connected to the thinking brain. We got a feeling brain, that is the limbic system, and the brain stem, the reptilian brain. Reptilian, mammalian, and the human brain. These are three layers. And mostly we are in the human part, which is the thinking brain, the neocortex. And so a lot of blood flow goes over there because the neural activity is going on there. Then the blood flow follows. But when you do things, then suddenly in caring, it's not thinking, it's caring. You can feel it, but that's a different part of the brain. Then the blood flow goes over there. That's why it's so good to care for each other. To hug each other is activating these deeper layers by which the blood flow goes deeper. It's also the object of deep meditation, to go deeper inside the brain, bring the blood flow into deeper parts of the brain. And then if you do ice baths and all that, then you survive. That's the reptilian. That means then that the blood is flushing from the thinking, because thinking will be out there. You don't think anymore when you go into an ice bath. Then the blood flow goes fully to the whole of the brain, and it exercises all the brain with the right blood flow, by which the neural activity suddenly is able to connect with the deepest part of the brain. Willfully, you get connection with the deepest part of the brain. I showed that in brain scans. And then with that, I learned to have control over pain, the opioids and the cannabinoids. Euphoria and opioids are in the periaqueductal gray hemisphere. That is the deepest of the deepest of the deepest of the brain.
Yeah.
And in science, it was thought of impossible for humans to control. And I showed robust activation at will. And what I can do, Sarah, anybody can do. This is what I bring. We don't live in most of our brain. And then when real stress happens, viral stress, emotional stress, etc., which concerns the deeper parts of the brain to be activated to deal with that, because it's connected, the immune system, the emotional systems. This is all about the endocrine system, deeper control over deeper parts of the brain. Then we don't have a control. And we are never schooled. That's why I say I'm an advocate for this should be brought into primary school, where children still are in connection with these deeper layers of their brain. They are just being happy. They are innocent. They are just being there. Amazing. We filthy them up by narrowing their consciousness, by forcing them just to use a little part of their brain. And that is absolutely wrong, because that's not schooling. That is disastrous. That is minimizing, narrowing down the life force within the people. And later in life, when they have problems, they cannot even deal with that. So let's bring the love. The love for life is unconditionally there. It's a great power, and it's the power, unlimited power of the mind is now here. We showed it in brain scans, how to activate 100% of the brain. 100. Not
Wow.
16 at will, but 100. This fairy tale that, oh, only 60% we can control with our conscious brain. No, it's 100. And that 100% then is the new threshold for the future for us neurologically to develop into. There is nothing wrong with the baby, but she is still not, because the neurology is not set, the neural pathways. And so we have mostly, through our narrowed consciousness, wrongly schooled, we have only used a little part of our brain willfully. So it's time that we learn to own our own mind. And that is by taking on the life force controlled to nourish any cell in the brain 100%, by which we are able to enter into any part of our own brain. And that is the thing. And I show the thing I did well, which is absolutely great, I have to say, is to bring it to science. Not to be afraid, not to own my little tricks for myself and my own gain. I go to science, I show that we are able to battle any problem which is existent right now as a spiritual pandemic called depression or inflammation, which kills 60 to 70 million people every year. And not the 5 million of COVID, 60 to 70 million every year dies of inflammation. And now we have shown how to battle that by learning how to willfully activate these deeper systems through breathing. Breathing and believing. Those two, when they come together, there's nothing you cannot do.